Hey everyone, NWA Prepper here. So this morning I want to talk to you about being alone, particularly referencing preparedness. But so in a private conversation, a subscriber, not somebody I even know, just one of you guys, emailed me, and our discussion went to the point where I felt I needed to just talk to them. So we communicated, we called, and it was, because I'm blessed to be part of a preparedness group and involved in a couple. I have a couple overlaps. Not everyone has that. And then she's like, she and he, it was a couple. They were like, is there, what if we can't find anyone? Because they're struggling, as many preppers are struggling, to find a group, to build a group that's suitable for them. And so there's been many a time in my preparedness journey that it's just been me versus the world. And though I say now that teams are important, because I feel that they are, you've got to be a member of a group, and I truly feel that way, to thrive. That's not always the case. And so I do have thoughts on when you're alone. And the thing is security and silence are your biggest assets when you know you're alone. They're a big asset regardless, which is why I don't talk about specifics or locations or numbers for the same thing. But if you're going to be by yourself, you never want to talk about it. You don't want the people at the coffee shop to know that you're storing wheat. You don't want, the people at the Whole Foods to know why you're buying that bulk corn. You don't want to know the people at the feed store. If you're buying whole corn, you want them to think you're the biggest deer hunter in the world, or that you're feeding hogs or you're feeding animals. I mean, I'm not telling you to go out and plan on being deceitful. I'm just saying that there's nothing wrong with when you're at the feed store asking what other people are feeding their chickens while you're buying corn, or what other people are feeding their pigs, or whatever. Be educated at other uses for the product if you're buying it. Don't. You don't want people to know that you're prepared in any way. So anonymity is your number one friend. And I feel that you absolutely have to have a location for your bug out or retreat, or already be there already. I'm not already there full time at my bug out location, and I hate that. But if you're going to be by yourself or just your family unit, you've got to be somewhere you're intimately comfortable with, every bump, every nook, every cranny, every tree, everything about that land, so that you know where you can store things, where you can stay and be out of sight, out of mind. You have ways to get out of there and in there without people seeing it or knowing it, because you have to sleep. Growing food and livestock and being by yourself is going to be really difficult, because it's hard to hide those things. Even my little garden, I can't hide in my neighborhood. I can kind of hide my raised beds at work, but not really. Not if somebody's actually looking for a tomato plant or a cucumber plant or melons. You know, they're going to see the grounds prepared. They're going to know what's going on. So if you're, and I mean, I think everyone being quiet is a great thing, but sometimes it's hard. And sometimes there are reasons that people choose not to be. But if you're by yourself, I mean, it's just, when I first started, and well, even now, if I go buy, I should go this way. If I buy any bulk grains, or if I do anything in large quantities, I don't haul it in to my house Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. I don't. I don't load it up and have it all piled up in the back of my truck and drive around town for 4 or 5 hours before I go store it. I cover it. I've even been known to buy other items just to camouflage what I really have, because I don't want, everyone to know what's going on if I'm by myself. Now, my neighbors, am I in town? Do they all know that I'm into preparedness? They do, because I've lived there for a long time and we've discussed it and we brought it up, and we've, I've been working hard to bring them on board. And because of that, even several of my neighbors in town have stepped up and into the preparedness world a little more than before. And then I find out that 2 of them already involved in it to a higher degree than me. And that is wonderful. That makes it easier in life. It is awesome feeling to know that at the end of my street is that couple that have been there longer than me, that know that car belongs, that car doesn't belong. This is where you turn into the neighborhood. That's where you turn out of the neighborhood. That's the back way in. And they see all that. And sometimes I accuse them of having a notebook where they keep track of all that. No, I don't really think they do, but they might. But I do know that he's got alternate communications. I do know that he has weapons and knows how to use them. I know that he's got food storage and water storage. To what degree? It's none of my business. But I know it's there. Comfortably know it's there. And the same thing with the one beside my garden. I know that they can. And I know that when they open a can of green beans, it's not even last year's beans, it's years before last beans. And they don't go for milk, bread, and eggs when the power goes out or when there's a storm. When you're alone, be careful, be mindful. Your dollar doesn't stretch as far with one person as it does with a few or several. So be mindful what you're buying. Don't buy gadgets and gadgets. Focus on the essentials. For sure, you need to have a blackout room or the capabilities to do a blackout room, which I need to do a video on. I may do that tomorrow. But it's just a room that no light can escape, so that when you have flashlights or you have lanterns or you have a cook stove, there's a room in your home or your retreat that light doesn't escape, because light and sound are your biggest giveaways. Smell is another big one for some people. I smell pretty well, so I may stink today, but my nose works pretty good, so I smell people's deodorant or shampoo or cleanliness. I can smell from a ways. So tobacco I can smell from a mile. Not literally a mile, but anyway, be mindful, be safe, and keep to yourself, which is a good habit for anyone, but particularly when you're going at it alone, with nobody to watch when you're asleep and things like that, or when you've got to be doing work in the garden, or when you've got to be cooking food, or when you've got to be going to the bathroom or whatever. You definitely don't want anyone thinking they know what's going on and that you're prepared a little bit, because inevitably Murphy's Law, Murphy's going to come a knocking when you got to poop. That's just the way it works. Thanks for watching. Be safe, everyone. Let's get ready.